Marley from the Energy Boutique with your energy forecast for Monday, December 2nd. So we have the moon in Sagittarius energy, still very much in this new moon energy, but the moon in Sag is actually going to go void, of course, at 10:48 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're locking into Capricorn energy at 4:10 p.m. And the transition from Sag energy to Capricorn energy is always felt because we're flying high, dreaming big, feeling good in the Sag energy, and then all of a sudden we get a reality check. We have to come back down to earth. The Capricorn energy, very serious, very somber in mood and in attitude, because we're trying to take the goals, the visions, the dreams that we just realized that we want to do, that we want to pursue, and we have to actually get organized in our thoughts, in our feelings, in our ideas to figure out how we're going to bring them to life. Capricorn energy brings the intangible into the tangible, giving it structure, form, foundation for the future potentiality of these goals, visions, and dreams to actually have a place to be built upon. So, 10:48 a.m. to 4:10 p.m., that is a huge chunk of time that the moon is going to be void, of course. Things get shaky, things get unstable and very uncertain, and we're already in the dark phase of the moon, so things are already not as sure, not as certain, not as solid as we wish that they would be. Now, there are 10 different aspects taking place here today. 8 of them are going to involve the moon. One of the aspects that does not involve the moon is between Mercury trining Chiron. So Mercury, ruler of the mental plane, ruler of information, communication, how it is that we express ourselves. He's currently retrograde, looking back, looking inward, revising, re-editing, restructuring. All of the goals, all of the dreams, all of those big ideas that we had. All of the truths that we thought we knew, that we thought we were sitting in. Mercury is going to be trining, which is a beautiful interaction with Chiron, the wounded healer, who is also retrograde, but in Aries energy. And Chiron is helping us to bring this new version of self online, to focus on the problematic areas, the issues, the wounds that need to be healed. And so to have Mercury trining, which means that we're dealing with like-minded elements, fire on fire, and we love fire because it helps to dry up the heavier emotions, helps to reignite a fire, a spark, a flame within us, and rejuvenates our soul and our spirit, our faith in the process. And so, first of all, having these two come together in this beautiful interaction is going to mean that, mentally speaking, we're definitely on alert. We are paying way more attention to our surroundings, to our thoughts, to our emotions, to the patterns that we are now realizing going on in our lives. We are very observant to pick up on the smaller details, and we are much more open-minded to kind of, explore different thoughts, different ideas, different perspectives. We are more willing to kind of do what we have to do to learn, to understand, to kind of seek a different perspective, a different level of wisdom, of knowledge. And it's putting us in a pretty good mood, pretty good attitude to be a little bit more open to discovering new ways of looking at old problems or breathing new life into old ideas. Either way, we're definitely having sparks pop off. Creative solutions, we're thinking outside of the box, we're getting in alignment with our heart space. And when it comes to communicating, because, that's where Mercury rolls over as well, we are having a much easier time trying to articulate what it is that we're thinking, what it is that we're feeling, really expressing ourselves. Now, the wording may not be exact, but the message, the vibe is definitely being well received. We just have a different focus on what it is that we need to do, what it is that we want to do, what it is that we need to learn, and what it is that we have to learn before moving on and moving forward. Special side note here, Mercury and Chiron are going to trine once again, this time at the end of the month under that new moon in Capricorn, December 30th. And at that particular time, Mercury will not be in a retrograde any longer. Chiron coming out of his retrograde the day before that new moon. So we're definitely going to be exploring these topics and themes throughout the course of the month and probably into the new year. But we're definitely going to get a wham bam thank you ma'am type of energy feeding off of some of the realizations that this particular transit is going to illuminate us too. So we do have a little bit of an awkward interaction going on with Uranus, but a positive interaction going on with Venus. And of course, the moon is involved. We're still in Sagittarius energy, and having the moon in Sag make a positive interaction with Venus and then an awkward interaction with Uranus is going to be very interesting because it's opening us up to figuring out what it is that we want, we need, we desire for the long term, where money and relationships are concerned. Venus is in that Capricorn energy. The focus is on the long term. The moon interacting with Uranus, though, who again is retrograde in Taurus energy, is going to kind of create a level of confusion that we're not going to feel very comfortable in. Because, again, Uranus's retrograde and Taurus energy is trying to highlight for us where it is that we're desperately holding on to the old, even though we've outgrown it, even though it's no longer resonating with us. And so we have this epiphany of what we need to do, what we have to release, what we have to kind of build towards as far as long-term goals go. But that's going to require us to kind of cut off some dead weight, which at this particular juncture, we're just not prepared to do. The interesting part about this, though, is that Venus goes ahead and trines Uranus shortly thereafter. So we get some earth on earth energies. This is going to help us stabilize in our thoughts and our emotions. This is going to help organize our thoughts and our emotions. It's also going to give us a grounded approach, a different perspective, a more realistic perspective to why it is that we're holding on to things that, again, are no longer serving us. And when we have that particular realization, suddenly there's a release that takes place and we're able to reform, restructure our perspective around these particular attachments and actively work on letting them go. 10:58 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, the moon in Sagittarius is going to get into the boxing ring and square off with Neptune. Neptune is retrograde in his rulership in this Pisces energy, and this is going to be the last aspect that the moon in Sag is going to make before going void, of course, and it's not a great one. A square highlights the growing pains that we're going through, and because the moon in Sag is very futuristically focused, dreaming big, definitely focused on the positives, Neptune, because he's still retrograde in Pisces energy, we're not really able to dream that kind of big dream. We're not able to see that far ahead. Instead, we're having to deal with life as it is, not for the way that we wished it would be. And so the moon kind of projecting us into the future, Neptune's trying to pull us on back. We have a mess to clean up in this present moment. We aren't really aligning with our intuition in the way that we would prefer to be at this particular juncture in order to gain the kind of intuitive insights that we're currently lacking. So that is a funky energy. And at 10:48 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, the moon goes void, of course. For 10 p.m., the moon shifts into Capricorn energy. And about 7 minutes later, we have a beautiful interaction with the moon now in Capricorn energy, making this very easily, very graceful type of energy shift with Mars. Mars being the god of war, ruling over our physical energy, our drive, our passion, our desire, even our anger. He's in the heart and soul of the zodiac in this Leo energy. And so we are being heart-led towards new passions, new desires. We are getting motivated, determined to actually do what needs to be done in order to initiate this new path, this new direction. The moon in Capricorn is all for it. We love to-do lists when we're in this Capricorn energy. We love to stay busy and distract ourselves from all of the emotions that are kind of bouncing around within us. So this particular interaction is going to help us build that motivation, build that determination to see the hard parts through. We get an extra empowerment energy when the moon in Capricorn is going to interact in the most positive of ways with Pluto, the great transformer, who happens to be in this Aquarius energy. So we're thinking progressively. We're thinking about the changes, about the transformations that we need to make in the physical realm, in the here and now, even if it is a short-term sacrifice, in order to set us up for those long-term gains. We are bossing up. We are feeling this new level of authority really take over because this new version of self is finally feeling comfortable to operate in this physical form. The moon goes ahead, makes a positive interaction with Uranus, who of course is retrograde in the Taurus energy. Again, some earth on earth action, helping to organize our emotions, helping to organize our thoughts, helping to get a to-do list together so that we can start kind of crossing off, releasing, letting go, purging, providing closure to a lot of the old world aspects that, again, we're having a hard time letting go and moving on from. This is going to kind of give us a spark of inspiration, a jolt of energy to actually figure out, again, clarity and insights, where to start, how to actually get the systematic approach initiated so that, again, we can pour our time and energy into wrapping things up so that we have a clear space and a clean slate to start pursuing the new. The moon is going to make a positive interaction with Saturn. Saturn rules over the Capricorn energy that the moon is currently in. And Saturn, of course, is the Lord of Karma, ruling over roles, responsibilities, structures, foundations, willpower, and discipline. Saturn is in Pisces energy, trying to wrap up a 30-year cycle, trying to help us dissolve the old boundaries, the old structures, the old foundations of the old world. And because this is a positive interaction, we are definitely starting to see the framework that we need to be operating in, first of all, in our inner realm with our heart and our head, secondary, what we're going to do as far as the moves that need to be made here in the physical realm. There is this sense of bossing up. There's this sense of being ready to really rise to the challenges that we know we are going to bump into when initiating this new path, moving on and moving forward. We sit in that particular energy, and again, that aspect takes place at 5:57 p.m., again, Eastern Standard Time. We sit in that energy until 11:46 p.m. This is when the moon in Capricorn is getting into the boxing ring, fighting it out, squaring off with that North Node in Aries energy. And so at this particular juncture, again, just reminder, Capricorn energy is very much linked to the past, to tradition, to what has been working, what is tried, tested, and true. That Aries energy of the North Node's position is trying to get us on the right path, trying to get us thinking about the future, trying to get us in alignment with the soul's mission, with the soul's purpose. But the disconnect here is that emotionally speaking, we are very focused on the to-do list that needs to be done to wrap up the old world. While the North Node in Aries energy wants us to be focused on the new world that we want to begin building, creating, and bringing to life. So emotionally speaking, there is this conflict, there is this growing pain because the time, energy, and attention that we have right now needs to be focused on wrapping things up. And again, that North Node in Aries energy is just dangling this bell of excitement about what could possibly be, but none of those things could ever be until we create a space for them. Thus, the moon in Capricorn helping us to look back, revise what needs to be done, what needs a little bit of an ending and a closure, so that again, we have a clear space, a clean slate to then focus on the new.